Hello everyone, welcome back to the Ambassadors of Gaming channel. I'm Ambassador Michael, and I have something I wanted to discuss today for once. I recently was going through some of the upgrades to next-gen games, recalling and finding additional information regarding them and kind of how the process has gone. I do not have, to clarify, a PS5. But I do, however, have a Series X. And on Series X, it's been very easy. If there's a next-gen upgrade, you download an update if you want to, and you're done. That's pretty much it. Save it on your internal storage or save it on the memory card expansion if you have one of those. And that's pretty much it. Everything's done. It's very easy, very cool, right? But I've recently learned that on the PS5, it's not so easy, which is something I wanted to discuss. Because if you're unaware, I like to give companies a hard time when they make mistakes or they make decisions that are very foolish. And when it comes to Sony, they are very, very good at making things that should be very easy, very complicated. That's pretty much their MO. They're really good at making things that should work much more difficult than they need to. So, I wanted to bring up a couple examples of kind of what's been going on over there on the PS4, PS5 side. So, one of the big things that I found out is that for PS4 and PS5 games, the biggest differentiator is that the PS5 and the PS4 are recognized in the PlayStation Store as different SKUs, as different games. So this is why it's not as easy to upgrade to the next gen version. Microsoft had designed the Series X, however, to recognize all save files regardless of kind of the format, to just recognize it as one format. So you don't have to mess with save files or anything. You can just upgrade and your save files are already there. Plus, they kind of have the built-in like cloud thing with your save, so it's just like constantly running cloud stuff with the saves. The PS5, it does have automatic cloud up saves if you have it enabled, but if you don't have it enabled or you never turned it on, or for some reason your internet is shitty like mine, it won't automatically do it all the time, so you have to manually do it just in case. Which, in this case, if you didn't download your most recent save, or you don't back up your most recent save, and you upgrade to a PS5 version, you could totally fuck yourself, and you couldn't have the save data, depending on the game, depending on the publisher. So for example, here on Valhalla, if you have Ubisoft Connect, it'll automatically carry over your save data. Great. If not, you should also make a copy of your save file, back it up on a USB or on the console itself in case there's an error. So that's very strange to me that it continuously, I'm thinking about this, how the Sony just designed the PS5 to be so different from the PS4, and Xbox seems to have designed the Series X to really just be a better version of the Xbox One with additional features capable of accessing the amount of power they put in the system, whereas Sony seems to have focused more on isolating the PS5 and its power into its own ecosystem. So anyways, one of the things is that with the PS5 version, again, it's not automatic. You have to upgrade through the store. So you have to come to the store, you have to get the PS5 upgrade. You can't just like download an update and it's done. Bada bing, bada boom, right? No. One of the other things is that PS5 upgrade or next gen upgrades in general, not all of them are free, which kind of sucks. Some of them are, some of them aren't. This is a publisher by publisher basis. We'll talk about Spider-Man here in a minute, but more or less a lot of what you'll see is free upgrades. So anyway, Sony's official site makes it seem much easier than it is. Technically, I guess they're not wrong in the way they describe the upgraded system for the PS4 to PS5. However, I don't feel like they do a great job of explaining how to move your saves between them. So that's what I have an issue with in the article itself here. The IGN one's more or less the same. And then this is the infamous Spider-Man remaster charge. So they remastered Spider-Man for PS5, and not only could you not buy it on its own, you had to buy it in general, which is dumb. You couldn't buy it on its own. You had to buy it as a bundle. We still, as far as I'm aware, it's not available without either upgrading to the Ultimate Edition or purchasing the Ultimate Edition of Miles Morales on PS5. So that's a little strange, I think. But again, it has a similar situation where if you don't download the PS4 version first, you have to download the PS4 version, update the PS4 version, go to the menu, hit, I think, R1 or something. I forget if it was in this article or not. I don't think it was. You have to go through a whole process, basically, with the PS4 version to upload your save, to convert it to a PS5 save, to carry over your save data in the PS5 version, instead of just downloading the PS5 version or updating the game to a PS5 version, booting it up, and it's all there and ready to go. It doesn't work like that. Not on PS5. So, more or less the same thing with Avengers, which is the most recent one. This came out recently. So, same thing. Here, you have to launch the PS4 version after you update it. You have to go to save migration. You have to initiate the upload. It has to upload. Then you have to launch the PS5 version. So you have to download both versions. Or if you really want to do you have to do it before. So you can't even download the PS5 version, because I'm going to assume that it does what Xbox does, which is it doesn't just like store both versions of the game on the system. You have to like have one or the other. So you have to download the update. Make sure you don't download the PS5 version. Then you have to download the PS5 version. And even if you have the PS4 and 5 versions on the same console, save migration is necessary to boot the save. But either way, you have to do it before you open up the PS5 version. Download the update so you can do the PS5 version. Once the save is complete, you can download and play the PS5 save file. However, again, Xbox doesn't really have that problem. Because, let's see. Here it is. This is what I was referring to earlier. PlayStation users must install and update Avengers PS4 game on their PS5 to initiate save after you mitigate. Yeah. However, the Xbox does not work this way. They explained that because they have the same identity regardless of the generation version of the game, they will sync, read, and write the exact same save data. Okay, very good. Thank you, Eden. Sony, on the other hand, has opted for a different approach. PS4 and PS5 versions of Avengers are entirely different SKUs on the PlayStation Store. As a result, the PS5 operating system sees the saves for the base game and its upgrade as two different files and can't be used interchangeably. The save migration steps essentially uploads your PS4 save, converts it to a file that's formatted for the PS5. So, that's more or less what I wanted to talk about, but it really came about. My desire to discuss this because of the Kotaku article about it, about how smart delivery turned out to actually be useful. Because even I thought it was kind of memey, but that's because I just assumed that Sony would be competent, as I usually do. I assume that they will be competent, but then they aren't, because they're Sony and they have to be complicated for some reason. And it's just one of those things where some of the features that I thought would just not be all that useful this generation have been much more impactful than they originally came across to me. The adaptive triggers, for example, I thought that was kind of gimmicky, mostly because, no offense to Sony, but the last two generations they've done gimmicky stuff and none of it has panned out. They did the camera on the PS4. They did the touchpad on the PS4. Barely ever used. On the PS3, they had the motion controls, barely ever used. Then they had the wands, which were also motion control, barely ever used. So, like, I thought with the adaptive triggers, oh, okay, cool. Here's, like, another thing that they added to the controller that, like, we're going to get a few games that use it, and from there on, it'll just be like, all right, whatever, like, who gives a shit? because it's never used. But everybody who has a PS5, especially those in ambassadors, have told me that actually it's like a really cool feature. It really does bring me this next level of enjoyment, this next level type of experience I can have with a game because of the way they shift along with the vibration of the controller. And I'm like, man, that's cool. I'm glad that that feature doesn't suck, because I would have really felt stupid if like I was right and they invested all that time and money into a feature that just wasn't really all that important. But people have told me it is important and it's a good feature. And I'll take their word for it because I trust those guys and the other people not in ambassadors that have told me the same thing. So whereas on my end here with the Xbox, I thought, for example, smart delivery wasn't that big of a deal. I didn't think quick resume would be that big of a deal, mostly because, again, I assumed that Sony had something similar in the PS5, or to compare, that the load times are so quick in the new systems that it wouldn't really much matter. Like, okay, cool, I have to like boot up a little bit longer because I have to go to the start menu and then go into the game. So like, I don't know, maybe 5 more seconds or something. Like, who really cares? I don't know. I haven't had that experience. I haven't really asked the guys that have both, well, what their experience is going in between the Series X and going in between the PS5. But for me, for example, quick resume was a feature that I was pleasantly surprised by. It's very, very nice when I go to boot up a game I haven't played in a couple of days, totally forgot I was in the middle of something, and I don't have to boot up to the menu. It just boots up to where I last was, paused. And I'm like, that's freaking cool. Like, it's really convenient. I forgot that it does this sometimes. Now, granted, it's not a perfect feature. It doesn't work all the time. Doesn't always do it. And Xbox, I think, needs some better communication on quick resume. There needs to be like something that's like, all right, this is like, I need some notification, all right? I need a badge. I need something to let me know, like, all right, here's in your quick resume. Here's what we have like paused or whatever. So I can at least like open it and see when something's closed out or something like that. Kind of like how the PS4 had an option to close out applications if you're running a game and you're running like YouTube or Netflix. You could choose to close which application you wanted and you could see which ones were running. Xbox doesn't really have that. So I wish there was something like that in the Series X OS. But my point is overall that the two sides of the coin. One, that I underestimated a lot of things that I assumed wouldn't be big deals, but were. And I assumed that there would be things that were big deals would be competently handled. And kind of, it seems like I've been wrong on a lot of that, which happens, especially when you talk about games, because you never know what's going to happen, honestly. If you can find somebody who point me to somebody who's 100% right 100% of the times, I'm going to give them a follow and I'll start watching their stuff because it's a miracle. But with me and the systems, I think it's important to recognize now because we're invested in them. It's been, November, December, January, February, March. So roughly 4 months since they've been out. We've had enough time to kind of really get invested in the ecosystems, kind of understand the systems, how they work, how we use them day to day, all this type of stuff, and kind of figure out what we like and what we don't like. So that's pretty much the end of the rant. The whole point is that I like to praise while I criticize if I can, because it's not like Sony does everything wrong. They do a lot of really good things. I think the PS5 probably has a lot of really good stuff going for it, honestly. But I think that there are things they could do better. In the same way Xbox can, in the same way Nintendo can. I can make a million videos on Nintendo. I just choose not to because I don't think it's that big of a deal at the time to really discuss it. If it's that important, I do make a video of it. I would call it a day. So, anyways, tell me what you think about upgrading to next gen. Tell me about your experiences on next gen, whether you've been enjoying it, what you like, what you do not like, what you're looking forward to. And yeah, I always read the comments. It might be a day or so late, but I do try to respond and read as many comments as possible. Appreciate y'all, and we will see you next time. Bye.